Om Kayena vacha manasyendrayirva Bhutyatmanava prakriti swabhava Karomi adyat sakalam paresma Narayana-yeti samarpayami Narayana-yeti samarpayami.
Dear Seeker of Truth, welcome. In this series of videos, we are going to talk about Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, of divine love, of God realization. So we are going to talk about the Narada Bhakti Sutras, a beautiful work attributed to sage Narada that talks about in full length of the path of devotion. May you all find inspiration in this work. May you all find meaning and purpose in your spiritual quest through these words. This kind of work, these words, these sutras, they bring light and they open the door to the life of the real quest for liberation. May you also find divine love in your heart. Moving on, Narada Bhakti Sutras, 3rd chapter, Fruits of Bhakti. So the first fruits are the sweetness of the nectar of love and the constant communion with God. So these are the first fruits, the initial fruits. So the beauty of Bhakti is that fruit starts from the beginning. So it doesn't matter what kind of love it is there, what impurities has there, it starts with the experience of love for God. And by tuning constantly, also the communion with God. So these are the first fruits. But let's move on to Sutra 4. On attaining it, this supreme love, man becomes perfect, immortal, and fully satisfied. So the fruits of bhakti are perfection, the ultimate goal. So here, this man becomes perfect. This is important because man here has no distinction, not even gender, but there's no distinction, caste, creed, color, whatever. So anyone attains this through the path of bhakti. So the devotee achieves perfection through God realization. He enjoys supreme peace, eternal and perfect satisfaction, and everlasting bliss. And so he becomes a siddha. So a siddha is a perfect being, the one who has siddhis, powers, let's go, yogic powers. But for the devotee, this doesn't mean anything. He has no interest in this. If he gets them or not, he doesn't care about this. Because the sweetness of divine love is incomparable with anything else. So the devotee doesn't get disturbed by anything else except constant divine love. So here a term in this sutra is Amrito Bhavati. He who has attained God realization becomes immortal. He lives in the presence of God. There are no more desires. So he will not take another body or birth. So immortality is of the nature of bhakti. So liberation for the bhakta is a sweet path that becomes sweeter and sweeter as it goes on. And by the nature of this path, by the nature as this love evolves, only that love becomes important, and he attains absolute perfection. Tripto Bhavati, another term that appears on the original Sanskrit. A devotee who is a siddha and who is immortal is absolutely satisfied. He has no more desires. The greatest desire has been fulfilled. It's absolute satisfaction that comes from the absence of desires and God realization, which come more or less simultaneously. Only when one attains perfection can one be satisfied in the self. That is correct. So this is very important. The devotee loves God and serves him and his creation. So, different from some outlooks into other paths, the path of bhakti, the way it grows, is that the devotee is there to serve God, to love God and to serve God. That is his main purpose. And he continues to do so at every step of the way. He does not strive consciously for mukti, liberation, but God confers mukti unsolicited anyway. Because this desire is a selfish desire, it cannot be any other way. This is from where the seeker is coming from. So there's no other way without being a selfish desire. But this is replaced for loving God and serving God. This is how all desires, even this one, gets purified. Because the heart of the devotee wants to keep on loving God unstoppably. Maybe this word doesn't exist, but without any pause. This is the will in the heart of a devotee. He doesn't aspire for liberation because, in a sense, for him, liberation ends this love. But still, God gives it anyway. But in a way that doesn't disturb this constant communion. So eventually, God takes care, and the path of Bhakti Yoga speaks about letting God guide at every step. So the devotee only yearns to increase the love, to purify the love. And he looks at everything in its life as directed by God. Those things that he finds good, those things that he doesn't like, that finds hard, that may find difficult or unfair or less than expected, it doesn't matter. For him, it is God that is guiding. This is how he reaches perfection. Absolute purity in loving God. Because his deep belief is that God takes care. And God is present constantly and taking care at every step. So this is the depth of his surrender, of his continuous communion with God. And if he sees that the mind is like something, he understands immediately the hand of God there giving an opportunity for him to let go of that also. So, fifth sutra. By attaining which, that divine love, he does not desire anything else. He is completely fulfilled. Completely fulfilled. This is absolute perfection. So, no desires are there. It's like when you have a full meal, no need for anything else rises. Neither grieves over any loss or death of dear ones, because he is in oneness with God. There's nothing of that is real. Nor hates anything, nor does indulge in sensual pleasures. There's no need. Nor does he feel any urge. He is fully satisfied. Any urge for the acquisition of material things and any other urges. There are no more urges. There's just God communion and complete peace and fullness. So by the fullness of his realization, by the nectar flowing in his heart, no desires arise whatsoever. And he is conscious of the unreality of objects. He knows, after God realization, he knows what the objects are. They are not real. So also, not only by the fullness of his heart, but also by the realization of the nature of so-called reality, he has no interest on the objects which he knows they are illusory in nature. And his thirst for sensual pleasure has been quenched by his God realization. He has reached the highest. So, and also desires, they manifest through avidyas, through ignorance. With God realization, that ignorance disappears. So desires have no way also to arise. If they are arising, it is still under avidya, ignorance. And the world is a manifestation of the Lord only. So wherever the devotee is looking, after reaching these, the ultimate fruits of bhakti, he sees the Lord only in everything. So how can a trace of earthly desire remain when God, the embodiment of bliss, is attained by the devotee? No traces can remain. An important aspect, darshan of God comes in different ways. Darshan is the vision, the blessing of God, of seeing God, comes in different ways. In dreams. So for those who may have certain experiences during their path towards God, so God can give you his darshan, his blessings, through his vision, in dreams, in a physical form as an ordinary man, in physical form with 4 hands, with conch, mace, discus, and lotus flower. Those are images that are known. In the form of cosmic consciousness, like Arjuna had, and in the form of Hiranyagarbha consciousness, or full knowledge of Brahmlok. So, these visions of God, they are there to help the devotee move higher, increase his devotion. It's not an end in itself. It is a blessing. So, after having these experiences, you should intensify your spiritual path, your practices, and not stop them. So the different visions can be visions of his divine forms, many countless divine forms, visions of his divine leelas. Sometimes God gives the vision of one of his forms, other times of one of his leelas, the stories that he has gone through when he has taken a human birth, all that it has happened. Sometimes he gives the vision of episodes to devotees for their satisfaction and encouragement. Visions of masters, it is common to have also common. It is a blessing, not really common, but having a vision of a master is also, it also happens. Lights, colors, dreams, all of this is a part. So God takes care, is present all along the way. So the devotee should focus on increasing the love and letting whatever has to come, letting that in the hands of God. It is a very strong habit of seekers to ask, to beg for visions, for experiences, for confirmation. But if you get confirmation, you will not move from where you are. Faith and the path of faith is very important. And if you ask now and you get answer, you will just continue to ask because it becomes a food for the character and to remain there. So God knows what's best and He is taking care of you. So when you feel the presence of God, He is there by your side taking care of you. When you have received something, a blessing, a vision, a dream, whatever it was, God is there taking care of you. When you haven't received anything whatsoever, when you don't feel the presence of God, God is there taking care of you. When you're getting the opposite of what you were asking or expecting, because sometimes you're not asking for things and you don't know that you are expecting certain things, but it becomes clear when you get frustrated with what's coming in your way. And know that God is there taking care of you. So the devotee surrenders completely to God and takes everything that happens in his life as God's guidance, as God being there directing. If it is something he considers to be bad, so God is helping me to remove my preferences, to remove my attachments, my desires, God is taking care. So perfection, self-realization, constant communion with God, eternal peace, transcending the wheel of samsara, immortality, all of these are the fruits of bhakti. And they start from the beginning, just by that love that is arising. Because without love, there is no bhakti. So the path of a devotee starts with love and becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter with time. And when it feels that it is somewhere, some way being bitter, because this can be misunderstood, it is in that love, in that communion, that the sweetness comes. But if you're looking at your life, at the circumstances of your life, and expecting to find the sweetness, then it needs to purify much more. Much more. So the sweetness comes from the love of God, with God, and from that communion. The rest is irrelevant. So Sutra 6, by knowing which man becomes intoxicated, overjoyed, peaceful, and completely immersed in the enjoyment of the bliss of the Atman. So bliss is one of the aspects, one of the ultimate aspects of God realization. God is bliss. The devotee becomes bliss, becomes blissful, becomes bliss. And he is ecstatic and overjoyed. His heart is flooded by this divine nectar, by this divine love. This is the fruits of bhakti. So, in this sutra, this term Matto Bhavati appears. The devotee becomes thoroughly intoxicated with divine love. He spends his days and nights in singing the praises of the Lord and hearing his glories. And this is constant communion, and it happens by itself. He remains merged in the Lord, and also not conscious of the external world. He is completely absorbed in the Lord, not at all aware, and singing, dancing, praying, listening to the stories. This is automatic, and his heart is overflowing with divine love. Now he laughs and weeps, now cries, now sings aloud, now begins to dance in divine ecstasy. Through excesses of joy, he gets horripilation. Sometimes he becomes silent and sits motionless like a statue. So those who observe this from the outside, they understand nothing of what's happening. But he is in complete ecstasy, filled with God, completely filled with God. So a devotee who has drunk the wine of divine love cannot observe the conventional rules of propriety, quality of conforming to conventional accepted standards of behavioral morals, because his actions don't belong to him anymore. That body, individual body, that mind has been overtaken by God. He is filled with God. God has taken that body. He is full of ecstasy, just flowing naturally. He is not a slave to conventional laws of society and scriptures. The God-intoxicated devotee is not conscious of himself. His self has been diluted in God. When the devotee acts, it is God that acts through him. He is mere a shell, an instrument. A devotee is inwardly quiet and peaceful and serene when he serves the world out of love and mercy, because he is in fullness, in full realization. So there are no worldly desires, no expectations for outcomes. So he is completely serene as he continues to serve God and his creation. He is not anxious about anything. The devotee grows into the likeness of the Lord and therefore shares with him his perfection and partakes of his infinite bliss and joy. He realizes the Atman within and beholds the Atman in every creature. That means that his eyes are full of God alone. Full of God alone. And wherever he looks, he radiates that divine love. Okay.
Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhushka sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva.